Hi, so I'm going to talk about the approximate query which I have implemented. So it's an update from the exact query thing which I was working on. So I'll just tell about the schema of this. Now, what happens in the previous query, in the previous exact query, what we had seen that we had basically three tables. One was the Twitter table, one was the closest topic, and one was the sentiment analysis table. Now, apart from that, we have a table known as the cache table. So according to approximate query, you're supposed to be caching all the values of both the ML models that you're running. I mean, it can be multiple ML models, but for the query that I'm targeting, which is, as you can see over here, select average length of topic from closest topic, join sentiment analysis on closest topic ID equals sentiment analysis dot ID, where sentiment analysis dot sentiment equals like whatever the value of the sentiment is. So we have basically in the schema three tables. The first is the Twitter table, the second is the closest topic, and the third is the sentiment analysis table, where they are referring to the primary key within the Twitter table as the foreign key within closest topic and sentiment analysis table. Now, the only addition in this is this cache table which I've implemented. So what it basically does is that it takes all the values that are affected from the query respect to the sentiment analysis table. So for example, all the rows which will be affected with this value, so where the sentiment analysis of the tweet is equal to 4, so it's going to cache with respect to the model name, which is the sentiment analysis. It's going to cache it. Now it since it has only those rows, since like it's already cached the rows on which the sentiment analysis has been worked on, it's going to take only those rows and apply the ML model of named entity recognition, NER, only on those rows, and it's going to store the values of those as well in the next column, which is the closest topics cache. So it essentially is like a caching mechanism. Now I'm going to run this again for three. Sorry, my timeout actually just for the video recording. This had to exit. So yeah, I've updated the sentiment 3. Now what it'll check? It'll check that okay, for the sentiment 3, these values need to be picked up, and it's going to add that into the NER cache, and it's going to run only 4 queries on these 4 values, these 4 rows. And you can see that the answer which I've received is this, and it's going to obviously take only these rows and not the entire cache out there. You can see now, if I query the values for cache, the cache has been increased. Yeah, so that's overall the concept of exact queries. I've not added the stratified sampling or the other sampling conditions in this for the lack of time, perhaps. But maybe once I have a clean code for this and a UI built around it, maybe I will work on that as well. I'm going to show you a quick walkthrough of how I'm going by the approximate query. I don't have a UI for this because the code is a little too messy right now, and it'll take me a while for it to clean and wrap it around a nice UI. But yeah, that's not a big concern over it. At least I have a working model with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this query with this one, and what it's going to do is currently right now the table that I have populated tweets with me. So these are the 30 tweets which I have, and the cache table, closest topic, and sentiment analysis. All of these tables are currently they're not filled. And if I run this query, which is kind of the exact query, it's not even the exact query. It's just a query. It's not going to return me anything. But as soon as I call my script.py, you're going to see that it told me that no cache is detected, so it's going to populate the sentiment table because that's for the first run. Let's see what's going to happen now. So it's calling an API in which those particular rows, almost every row, actually every row is being filled from the sentiment table. Let me pause the video. You can see that the sentiment table is now populated, but this particular condition is being satisfied by only these rows. So it's saying that adding these rows to cache of sentiment analysis. So now the NER model will be executed on these and these particular rows only, and since the cache has stored it, so it's not going to rewrite these NER queries on those values, and it's provided me an answer to the same. Now, if I query the cache, you can see that for sentiment analysis, it has taken that these rows were affected in the last call 8, 9, 12, 14, 17, 18, 20, and 24, which you can see over here. But it also wrote down which rows in closest topic have already been filled. So if I change the query over here and let's just go with if I re-query it. So it's not going to run the sentiment analysis model. It's just going to check which values are being satisfied with this query and if they are cached or not, which they are. So it's basically showing that total rows to be updated for any R0, which means that they're already fetching, the program is already fetching it from the cache directly, and it's returned me a nice answer for it. So now let me change the value to 2, which is a different value. And if I write 2 over here, you can see that it will not return me anything. While if I write 1, it's going to return me with the answer. So if I write 2 over here and if I call for 2, now it's going to check again which values are actually in the cache. So they're different. I mean, the query provides these rows to be different from the ones which are in the cache. So it's going to add in the cache, and total combined rows for NER would be this, because these are the values which have been populated. So now it's running NER on only and only these queries and not each and every one, because we don't want to run the ML model again. And it's provided me an answer for the same. It's a coincidence that the answer seems to be same, because I mean, the model kind of tends to split these values out. So if I query this, so let's start from closest topic, you can see that the length of the strings are almost the same. So, and if I do a select from cache, you can see that the values of cache are now different. So these were the ones which were affected the last time, and these are the ones which are kind of all the rows which are basically populated. So it's kind of reflecting that. Now after that, if I re-query this, you can see that these rows were affected, yes, but since it retrieves it from the cache, it's not going to run a NER model again. So yeah, total rows to be updated for NER, they are none. And if I change it to 3, which I have to do,